Spicy?
It turns out that if you leave Bangkok and start driving west, then keep going west when the highway turns north, and just keep going after you cross the famous River Kwai and the road turns to dirt and you pass through jungles and forests, by the end of the day, you'll end up here, at a quiet pond right on the border with Myanmar.
Now, these guys having alcohol, having a fresh fruit,
I know,
have a fresh food, weather.
I know, right?
Need for life, you know.
This is the end of the road and the finish line for the most unexpected adventure we've ever had on OTR. This is the story of how we went from a planned shoot in Kanchanaburi to traversing mountain paths looking for the border, and how we ended up here, eating somtam and fresh-caught fish high in the mountains in a place unlike anywhere we'd ever been before.
မင်္ဂလာပါဒီတစ်ခါမှာတော့ OTR Food History Channel ကတင်ဆက်ထားတဲ့မြန်မာအစားအစာအကြောင်းဗီဒီယိုကိုဘာသာပြန်တင်ဆက်ပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုကတော့ OTR Channel ကမြန်မာနဲ့ပတ်သက်တာကိုပထမဆုံးရိုက်ကူးတင်ဆက်တဲ့ဗီဒီယိုပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာတော့ထိုင်းနိုင်ငံဘန်ကောက်ကနေမြန်မာနိုင်ငံနယ်စပ်နားထိလာပြီးမြန်မာမိသားစုတွေနဲ့တွေ့ဆုံစားသောက်ကြတာကိုမြင်တွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုကြိုက်နေတဲ့ဆိုရင်သူ့ channel ကိုလည်းတွားရောက်အားပေးပြီး subscribe လုပ်ပေးကြပါအောင်လို့တိုက်တွန်းပါတယ် channel မျိုးဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာစတန်းထိုးထားသလို decoration ထဲမှာလည်း link ထည့်ထားပါတယ်ဗီဒီယိုကိုအဆုံးထိကြည့်ရှုပေးပါဦးခင်ဗျာ
Is this closed too? All right, well, so much for that idea. Let's go back to the main road. In an alternate universe, or if we hadn't run into a dead end, here's what we were going to film. The idea was to go to a town called Kanchanaburi and eat a bunch of food. I mean, there was more to the plan than that, but it doesn't really matter now because obviously it didn't happen. No worries, we can also just skip this restaurant. It's not a big deal. Yeah, okay. I don't really mind. What did happen was we hit a dead end and had to turn around and get back on the highway. And this was one of those stretches where we'd have to drive like 20 more minutes to find a place to U-turn to get back to Kanchanaburi. And we were 3 hours out of Bangkok and I was starving. And before we ever found that U-turn, we saw a place to eat. So that's where this story will begin. A stop along the Highway 323, 130 kilometers from home, at a countryside restaurant where I just wanted something to eat. Oh man, you can just smell
You see that smell?
the fermented sour sort of taste of this, but
the bamboo is sliced like so tiny way that you put in your mouth, it's just melting, you know. I gotta try with the bamboo. I have to see the fish. Oh man. You see the taste?
oh man, the Kanam Jean just melts. That is so fresh.
Swiping that.
One of the best things about eating in the countryside, and this goes for anywhere in the world, is the unpredictability of what you might find. In places far away from grocery store chains and population centers, ingredients start to really matter. Like you're probably going to be eating the stuff farmed or fished right there and not somewhere in another continent. And also there's the local traditions, food passed down through generations by families who opted out of the crush of urban migration and held on to something that once lost is irreplaceable. Now, maybe I'm over-romanticizing it, but forgive me for a quick digression. After all, I'm a guy who grew up in rural mountains, suddenly finding myself away from the city. That gets me feeling philosophical. I was born in Manhattan, but when I was young, we relocated to Central Virginia. For most of my life, I was the outsider, the guy who had big city roots in a small town where most of my friends and neighbors still went to grandma's every Thursday and spent Christmas with cousins and nephews and great aunt Bernice, who was the only one allowed to make the eggnog because nobody else would add enough rum. To me, the cities were where the action was and small-town life was something from a Steve Earle song. It wasn't until I moved half a world away and started bouncing between massive cities of 20 million that I started to understand how much I missed the peacefulness, the country roads and the old traditions, and meals being something eaten over a continuation of a years-long conversation rather than just a quick bite on the go. Anyway, we had two directions we could turn once we left the restaurant. Go right, get back on the highway and find our way back into Kanchanaburi for our video shoot. Or go left onto a country road pointing high up into the mountains and try and find our next meal somewhere far away from anything. We went left. For some people, maybe it's Kerouac or Robert Pirsig that first lit that fire of yearning for the open road. For me, it was Hunter S. Thompson. We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. I can recite the whole first page from memory. This was a watershed moment the first time I read the book, the first time I understood the freedom in just getting in the car and going. We pinned a destination about 50 kilometers away from Kanchanaburi. Here, if the map was correct, we'd follow roads numbered 323, 3343, 6018, and finally a dubious one without any name or number, with the goal being a restaurant that from the little bit we could find online looked to specialize in local food from the native jungle. By now, the idea of our well-researched original shoot was pretty much out the window, and we recalibrated to a new goal. How far could we go, and what would we find in a day trip west from Bangkok and still make it home in time to walk the dogs? Feel free to jump ahead a minute, but I'm going to interrupt the video just to show you how this lady here in the mountains cooked an omelet. This is insane.
ชื่อสมหมายค่ะอยู่ครัวสมหมายไซโยกก็ถ้ามาเที่ยวที่นี่นะคะจังหวัดกาญจนบุรีอำเภอไซโยกก็คืออาหารอร่อยอากาศดีเป็นธรรมชาติร่มรื่นค่ะ
So you see, today we have a completely different dishes. You can't find that kind of dishes in Bangkok. That dishes is originally from here. So we're going to start with that fish. It's a pa lat kueh. So you will be shocked. That fish actually coming from Cambodia. And that fish migrates to Thailand a certain time of year. They catch that and you can have that. It's so fresh. This fish is calling a pak kang. That just getting from the river Noi. That we just cross by. It's from here. And that is a chicken with the salt. This is a very simple dish, but they marinate for few time, like a 2-3 couple of hours. And that is the most interesting part of that jungle curry. When you can see that the spicy around there, the chicken. This chicken is not the chicken you normally eat from the market. That chicken growing, it's like some kind of pet. They feed them with the rest of their food. It's growing in their house. So in Thailand, they're calling it kai ban. What is translated to English is a home chicken.
It's not factory chicken.
No, it's not factory chicken at all. They not feed that with any chemical or any other food. They eat the natural things.
So we have home chicken.
Yeah.
We have mountain egg.
Exactly. So this is the egg pukao. So pukao is mean the mountain. So that egg actually, the taste, according to the chef, she explained that it's going to be like a sarapao. Inside it will be soft and melted. And then we got a mushroom. And that mushroom has a back to history. You see the mountain behind that restaurant? It's coming from there. It's organic, and that they can get like a 3-4 times a year. It's normally after rain. It's growing up in the rainforest, the forest.
So the word that we'd use for this is hand foraged. Somebody went up into the mountain,
exactly,
found the
took
mushrooms,
that.
and
the people who found that mushroom, they have to be careful because that mushroom grow among also the dangerous mushroom that you can consume that. So you need to know what exactly you're eating that.
Now next I'm going to find out how good they are at spotting healthy versus poison mushrooms.
You see that? You can find that available, not everywhere.
I'm not good enough as a YouTube host to describe that. It's like exponential mushroom. That's so soft and pillowy.
Exactly. Easy. You see that? Nothing can beat this.
By now, it was around 3 in the afternoon, and we'd been happily at this restaurant for about 2 hours. Here, this stop had been worth every minute, as all the dishes were made from scratch, and to really appreciate the countryside, you have to embrace the slow. Once again, when we left, we found ourselves with a decision. Go straight, and the road would wind further and further into the jungle towards the highest reaches of the mountains. Go left and retrace our steps back to where we came from. Or go right and follow the map back towards Kanchanaburi on a different rural road. Well, that was what we chose, to slowly work our way home. Except, my map was wrong. And after 20 minutes, I realized that I'd sent us down a series of paths that as our cell phone signals faded and we went deeper and deeper into the wilderness, we now found ourselves completely lost. We were somewhere in the mountains of western Thailand. We had no cell service. We'd already blown our chute for the day. We were surrounded by mountains and jungle. And looming just a few dozen miles further, the national border and the country of Myanmar. A lot of our best stories were the unplanned places that we've been. I mean, a lot of the highlights of my time anywhere around the world was always when you didn't necessarily plan on going somewhere, and then, as the time in Zambia, we got caught in a thunderstorm and ended up meeting people we're still friends with to this day. I mean, I can go through an endless amount of places that we've been that we didn't intend to go and ended up sort of taking everything in a completely different direction. I don't know what we're going to find this way. Again, I don't have the benefit of signal. I've got 0 bars, which in 2022 is a little bit disconcerting. I need to spend a minute talking about why this mission started to feel so important, and that's because of the country somewhere just over the horizon, the country of Myanmar. Now, Myanmar is the country that shares the longest land border with Thailand and a place whose history is closely linked with the country. It's also, at least for me, a total blank spot. In the whole time I've been in Asia, there's been a total of something like 3 years when the country hasn't been in the middle of a civil war. I've never been there. It's the only country in Southeast Asia where I've never been. It wasn't until I moved to Thailand that I even really experienced Burmese food. While you can find a Thai and Vietnamese or Singaporean restaurant almost everywhere, Myanmar is a giant mystery, forgotten by the rest of the world thanks to 2 centuries of war, conflict, and rebellion. And then there's the Thai border itself, well-traveled by tourists and backpackers to and from Cambodia and Laos. But the Myanmar border is largely part of what's called the Golden Triangle, one of the most notorious and violent opioid-producing regions on Earth. Now, I've been near dangerous borders before in the 3 months Daria and I spent driving across southern and central Africa. Here, maybe we couldn't enter war zones like Somalia and South Sudan or outbreak sites like the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But there was still something wild about getting right up close to where you could actually see the land and the cars and the people and realize, or at least internalize, that these were actual places. Not just news items or statistics, but lands with homes and offices and amazing food. Now I couldn't believe that I could potentially be about to experience the same thing with Myanmar just a few hours from downtown Bangkok. Maybe we didn't have a map, but we had a direction. We would drive west until there was no more west to go.
Oh man, it's a beautiful place.
I never know where to put my hands when I'm taking a picture. I'm like, this?
We got some nice. Oh man, this is
I look like I'm trying to sell you the lake.
real estate broker.
All right, I think we can get back in the car and keep going.
Yeah, sure, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna go wave across the border and then make
Let's
our way
do it.
back home.
Let's do it. Let's go.
That was a little bit disrespectful. It's like, where are we going? In the morning when we hit the dead end, and just a couple hours ago when I took a wrong turn leaving the restaurant, I tried to hide it, but I was panicking. Now, as we made our mad dash for the border, we literally had no idea where we were at all. We were totally and completely lost. We hit dead end after dead end, stopped a few times for directions, and tried, sometimes in vain, to keep the arrow pointing west. But somewhere in between the stress of feeling helpless and the knowledge that my dogs were waiting by the door for their evening walk and the frustration of getting nowhere, we all started to remember the good things about those simpler days. We weren't nowhere, we just weren't where we planned to go. But couldn't we just enjoy the magic and rolling down the windows to feel the mountain air and seeing places we'd never been before and just turning ourselves over to the experience? Maybe there was magic in not having everything go perfectly. Somehow we'd forgotten that for thousands of years, we all did just fine without relying on the constant presence of all the information the world had ever gathered available at our fingertips. And maybe there was something more fulfilling about looking out the window instead of looking at a phone screen. And just like in those ancient days of the 1990s, I don't understand how, but somehow we found our way. So you see behind me, there's a police checkpoint that's unmanned right now. Behind the police checkpoint, that's not Myanmar. But if you round the corner and then you go past the lake and this turns to a dirt road, that is the country of Myanmar. So we are at the very end of Thailand to the west, as far west as you can go directly from Bangkok and still be in the country. And I would tell you that this, where we're stopping, is the last restaurant in Thailand before you reach Myanmar. That's not true. There's one more place right next door, but it's a pizza place. And we figured, well, let's stick with Thai food or Burmese food. I don't know. All we found out is that this place serves one dish, which is chicken noodles. And I ordered a plate. Had a blast today. And what do we say? We always start filming thinking we're going to film one thing, and we end up going in a completely different direction. And never have I regretted that any less than I do today. This was a lot of fun.
ได้ขึ้นไปข้างบนยัง
ยังครับ
ข้างบนมีอ่างเก็บน้ำนะขึ้นไปดูได้วิวสวย
อ่างเก็บน้ำประมาณกี่กิโลนะครับ
อ๋อไม่ไกลหรอกขับขึ้นไปมันจะมีด่านตชดกลับขึ้นไปได้เลย
Okay, Adam.
Yes, sir.
If you're going down there, there is like a Angkep Nam, the viewpoint with the water and around surrounded by the mountain. It's not too far. You want to check it out then?
What is it?
It's around like a 500 meter from there.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah, it's 500 meters. We might
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So we're gonna talk.
And that is how we ended up here. Following the
nice.
sound of a mortar and pestle to a Burmese family spending their afternoon catching fish and making som tam, a peaceful day spent together in a remote village at the very end of Thailand.
You wanna try? It's going to be damn spicy.
Well, we've reached the end of the road. We are at the Myanmar border, and we found some really nice people who Adam is currently trying to enlist as subscribers to the OTR YouTube channel. They've shared their food with us. They're making fresh somtam, grilled some shrimp. They're fishing. And it's just nice because, again, we live right downtown in Bangkok, and to have the clean air, as I have the cigarette in my hand, but to have the fresh air and the beautiful mountains all around us, and the elevation's higher, it's nice and cool outside. Just an amazing place and such a cool part of the country that, you know, was obviously this was a day trip for us from Bangkok. We're going home after this. So to know that we can reach this in one day and come back to somewhere like this that just, you hear nothing. You just hear each other talking, and there's no sounds of the city around us. And yeah, so we've gone as far west as we can go, and any further, and we're out of the country. So yeah, this has been our road trip on OTR. And that is the story of how we spent a day on the open road, found some of the best food of our lives, met some of the nicest people, and came face to face with the country of Myanmar, and still made it home in time to walk the dogs and throw on a TV show and get back almost uninterrupted to our normal lives and routines. But with a new, or at least a renewed appreciation for the open road, for villages and mountains, and plunging into the unknown come what may, even without a map. There were so many roads untraveled for us that must hold their own secrets and stories and incredible food, and no matter where we went, next time we'd make sure to remember not to let the destination get in the way of the adventure. Thanks to everyone supporting us on Patreon. We rely on your support and really do appreciate it. Find links below to our website and also to our Instagram and Facebook. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more From the Road from OTR. All right, if I asked you to name a Thai dish, like first thing you think of on the spot, go. What just popped into your head? All right, now how about something Chinese? What about Indian? Now, what about something Burmese? Anything? Have you ever thought about how strange it is that the place literally in the middle of those other three iconic food cultures is a total blank spot on the map? Now, I'm a chef and I've lived in a bordering country for more than 12 years, and it still never really occurred to me how insane it was that I don't know anything about Burmese food. At least until I stumbled into the wrong street cart and had one of the most incredible meals of my life. It turns out, somehow totally under the radar, there's an entire Burmese subculture here in Thailand. Thousands upon thousands of immigrants and refugees building their own community where some of the best food in Asia is in the back alleys of almost every district and neighborhood, just right there hiding in plain sight. So today we're on a mission to figure out, what is Burmese food? Where can we find it? And why did it completely disappear from the culinary map?
မင်္ဂလာပါဒီတစ်ခါမှာတော့ OTR Food History Channel ကတင်ဆက်ထားတဲ့မြန်မာစားစာကြောင်းဗီဒီယိုကိုဘာသာပြန်တင်ဆက်ပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာတော့ထိုင်းရောက်နေတဲ့မြန်မာအစားအစာတွေဘယ်လောက်ကောင်းကြောင်းကမ္ဘာအဆင့်မီကြောင်းကိုပြောသွားတာမြင်တွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုကိုကြားနေတဲ့ဆိုရင်သူ့ channel ကိုလည်းတွားရောက်အားပေးပြီး subscribe လုပ်ပေးကြပါအောင်လို့တိုက်တွန်းပါတယ် channel မျိုးဗီဒီယိုအောက်ခြေမှာစာတန်းထုတ်ထားသလို description ထဲမှာလည်း link ထည့်ထားပါတယ်ဗီဒီယိုကိုအဆုံးထိကြည့်ရှုပေးပါဦးခင်ဗျာ
The place where I first had my reality turned upside down is here, at this humble street cart in Bangkok's Little India. This is a place we come a lot for, Indian food. It's a Punjabi neighborhood and maybe the best place in the city for rich North Indian curries and of course our favorite masala tea. But off in the corner, there was always a crowd around this counter, so one day when there were 2 empty seats, we sat down. It's not often I try something that's nothing like anything I've ever tasted before. But here, it happened twice in the same meal. There was this, lepetok, a salad of crispy split peas, fried garlic, sesame, and fermented tea leaves. This was just a shocking amount of flavor, sour and salty and packed with textural contrasts. And in any other situation, it would have been the highlight of my week to discover it if it weren't for the next dish, which was this. Sticky flat noodles covered in a rich gravy of chickpea and turmeric, packed with seasoning and flavor and just a touch of jaggery for sweetness. This is the most comforting of comfort foods and honestly a pantheon dish, up there with almost anything else I've ever eaten here in Southeast Asia. It made no sense to me how I'd never seen, tried, or imagined these dishes before. And that's just one single street cart. How much more must be out there, hiding in plain sight? And how is it possible that all this Burmese food is so completely unknown? Now, I don't want this to be a story about war. Those are basically the only stories anyone ever sees about Myanmar. I want to talk about food and dishes like this, but to understand how this unique culture formed and why you know all about pad thai but maybe nothing about mohinga, we have to at least acknowledge the elephant in the room. For the sake of this story, I'm going to skip about 4,000 years of history and pick things up in the 1940s. The British have been kicked out after a generation of colonial destruction, and the Japanese have fled after crushing the British and killing a couple 100,000 Burmese civilians as collateral damage. The new country is on a knife's edge. Before the English arrived and drew their own borders by gunpoint, this was still a place where various ethnic groups had their own kingdoms, and where throughout the centuries, power had waxed and waned between Buddhist and Hindu and Muslim leaders, Chinese and Mongol, Indian, Siamese, and the ethnic Mon. Anyway, in the first few years after the end of colonial rule, Burma did pretty well. In fact, for a time in the 1950s, it was probably the most promising post-colonial country in all of Southeast Asia. But again, these were borders drawn by the British, and some ethnic groups felt marginalized in the new country and pushed for independence. and that gained momentum in the democratic system. So in 1962, in the name of nationalism, the military seized power in a coup, dissolved the elected government, and stifled any notion of regional independence. The country fell into sectarian violence, widespread oppression, and massive corruption. And since I'm really not trying to make this a story about war, we'll just simplify it to say that that never stopped. The chaos touched off in 1962 has only continued to spiral into war and poverty. All of that is to say that while over the last 50 years the rest of the world discovered the paradise of Southeast Asia, and dishes like pho and laksa and pad thai started to spread, Burmese food was locked behind closed borders, and all of its secrets stayed hidden. But hidden is a relative term. Between 2 and 3 million refugees and immigrants from Myanmar are in Thailand right now. And in Bangkok, the city where I live, as many as 1 out of every 15 people here is a migrant from Myanmar. About 45 minutes west of downtown in an area called Ekachai, well, that's where most of those migrants start their new lives on this side of the border. It's a district mostly unknown and a place even most local Thais have never heard of before. But this, specifically the Bangbon Market, is the center of central Thailand's Burmese refugee population, and that is where we went to start our journey. As a guide and translator, I brought along a friend who happens to be a well-known Burmese chef from Yangon, who's also coming to this market for the first time. How do I say thank you in Burmese?
Jezuba. Jezuba.
Jejuba. Okay, what do we have?
Right, so I actually prepared a plate for you. I kind of pointed out which one to have. So this is beef stew with roselle and bamboo shoot stir fry. So this is one of my favorite dishes as well, and it's uniquely Burmese, so you have to try it. And this is mohenga. This is my favorite, all-time favorite breakfast dish.
Same.
Same, yes,
Okay,
same.
perfect.
So you have to try this. This is mohenga. This is like your go-to dish. This is the unofficial national dish of Myanmar.
You know, Thailand, I love Thai food, obviously.
So do I.
The flavor profile tends to lean towards a balance of, let's say, sour and sweet.
Mm.
This leans towards a balance of sour and salty.
Mm.
I would say the sweetness is definitely toned down compared to what you'd expect from like a Thai curry. And it's, as you said, the absence of coconut milk. If there's, I don't know if there's sugar, but there's not much. If there is, probably not at all. Yeah.
No, we don't use sugar in our cooking. I mean, if anything at all, it would be MSG. Our dishes, our food's more savory and salty, a bit spicy maybe in certain regions, and sour, but certainly not sugar, not sweet.
Absolutely mind-blowing how good that is. Can you actually help me to order a second plate just like this?
Just like this. With do you want
Beef and
Yeah,
because I'm gonna just eat this.
go for it?
This is me. This is like, it's that good. It's that good. I mean, yeah, I could eat this. It's just so different from Thai food, right? Like savory, salty, sour. Along with snacks and prepared food here at the Bangbon Market, Gugu pointed out to us some other things that made her feel like she'd just stepped back into Yangon. There's this, a traditional Myanmar version of a shampoo made with the kinpun fruit, the bark of the gruya tree, and lime, used widely in the country for more than 2,000 years. And then there's this, kunya in Myanmar, betel nut in the West, ubiquitous in the country, Betel leaves brushed with slaked lime and mixed with areca nuts, anise seed, and cardamom. This is the stuff that's chewed, which gives a mild caffeine pop and a mouthful of red spit. Four years ago, Pew, or Gugu as she's known by everyone, owned a PR agency in Yangon. Her focus was promoting the country's best restaurants and F&B venues, and she was at the top of her industry in Myanmar. But then came another wave of war and crisis, and in the middle of civil collapse, most restaurants aren't looking for public relations. So Gugu left for Thailand, where she realized that maybe her clients didn't need her help, but her country did. Encouraged by fellow refugees and local chefs in Bangkok, Gugu embarked on a mission to bring Burmese food to the outside world. She began to host pop-ups and cooking classes to raise awareness of her country's cuisine here in Bangkok. And then, she pushed farther abroad. Singapore and Hong Kong, Sweden, Italy, and multiple events in France. It became an all-consuming mission for Gugu to show the world that there was more to her country than violence and strife. There was also a cuisine that by all rights deserves its own spot among the world's true culinary giants.
Tell me a little bit before we stop talking and start eating about food diplomacy, what you do, right? Because what I'm bringing up and the reason why I talk about the public perception of Myanmar is you are actively trying to change that. This is what your mission is. So tell me about your idea of spreading, I guess, diplomacy for Myanmar through food.
Well, I mean, I feel that we're forgotten in the world. It seems like we're invisible almost. I've had incidents where if I tell them where I'm from, whether I say I'm from Burma or Myanmar, they never know where this country is, and we're not even a small country. And then only when I tell them, oh, it's actually right next to Thailand, and then bordering China and Laos and Bangladesh, then they vaguely know where it is, but we're pretty much invisible, and it's that. And also, another reason is because our cuisine is actually very palatable and diverse, and I really wish that people know a bit more, because everyone knows about Thai food, everyone knows about Vietnamese food, Laotian food, just not Burmese food. It's really good.
It's really, really good.
When I started cooking, it was mainly in Europe, and I've had people very, very emotional because it took them back to Myanmar, and that's when I know I'm on the right path. And I've had in Italy, for example, in Trento, it was a room full of people, and I cooked and I served, and then I came in, and then there was everyone stood up and then just clapped, and they were very, very emotional. I was very, very emotional because they said, with the current political situation, they couldn't go back, and then it felt like they were still part of Myanmar, and it took them right back to the time. So that's when I knew I'm doing an okay thing.
In 2016, after decades of struggle and turmoil, Myanmar citizens finally forced open elections for the first time since before the coup. a non-military government was voted into power and the country began to liberalize. A second round of elections were held in 2020, in which the party representing the old dictatorship won only 33 seats out of 476. This was followed by celebration and hope, and then in the middle of the night on February 1st, 2021, another coup. Elected officials were thrown in jail, tens of thousands of activists were executed. What should have been a high point on Myanmar's road to freedom instead saw the country plunge to a new low. There is no silver lining in a situation with so much death and devastation, but in a morbid and twisted way, the brutality of the present crisis might be what finally brings Burmese food to the outside world. Because now it's not just political refugees fleeing, it's successful business owners pulling up stakes and starting again outside. Like the owners of this place, which just opened in Bangkok a few weeks ago. Gugu brought us here before she bid us farewell, and it happens to be right downtown near my house. It's on Sukhumvit 21 in an area called Asak. This place is brand new, but for the owners, it's just another start for a business that's beloved at home. Before the coup, this family owned a chain of noodle shops and tea houses throughout Shan State in northeast Myanmar. And while I wish this place never had to open here, I mean, okay, maybe there is a tiny silver lining, at least for the new customers like me, who'd never tried Shan noodles before, and are now exposed to one of the world's great everyday meals.
It's amazing. This is so good. So,
Yes,
what's your goal?
sorry.
Tell me 10 years from now. What do you want to be, not just you personally doing, but what would you like to see in terms of global recognition of your food?
I want everyone to know what Lepeto is. I want everyone to know what Moringa is and what Shan Khao Sui or Shan noodles is, because those are my top 3 favorite dishes. So yes, in a way, for selfish reasons as well. Every time I travel somewhere, I don't want to have to cook for myself. I want to just walk into a restaurant and order a Lepeto or a Shan noodles or Moringa. So that would be my dream.
Just a little bit further from downtown, there's a neighborhood called Pratunam, an old business district now famous for textile factories and electronics markets, and a place where slowly perhaps the world's first little Myanmar is starting to take shape. Like Gugu giving up her PR firm to learn how to cook, here the Burmese food is being spread by people like the managers of this restaurant, who back home were a banker and a zoologist. This is called the Mandalay Food House, and it's as much a community center as a restaurant.
ဒီ Mandalay ဆိုင်ကဒီ Mandalay Food House ကပေါ့နော်ဖွင့်တာ4နှစ်ကျော်သွားပြီနောက်တစ်ခုကကျွန်တော်တို့ရဲ့အဓိကရွေးချက်ကဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲမြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလာပြီးတော့အလုပ်လုပ်နေတဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံသားလေးတွေသူတို့တွေကဟိုဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအစားအစာတွေမြန်မာပြည်သူတွေပဲပိုအရသာပိုတည်ရပိုကြိုက်ကြတယ်အဲ့လိုကြောင့်မို့
Every day, the restaurant serves hundreds of meals to Burmese of all backgrounds, because somehow, in a country geographically larger than France or Spain, with coastal lowlands and jungle-covered mountains, with Hindus and Muslims and Buddhists, and with so much history of war and tension, the food is pretty much the great equalizer. From north to south, a distance farther than New York to Cuba, nearly everyone in Myanmar starts their day with a bowl of mohinga and probably has a grandmother making her own pickled tea leaves for Lepetok. And maybe one day it'll be easier for us to find that stuff too.
စားတောက်ပြိုင်ပွဲတွေမှာစုရတဲ့ဟင်းပွဲမျိုးတွေရှိတယ်ဥပမာနန်းကြီးတုပ်တို့ဘာလို့ပုံစံမျိုးသူကခောက်ဆွဲကိုအခြေခံပြီးလုပ်ထားတယ်ဆန်တွေပါတွေနဲ့ဆန်ခောက်ဆွဲအခြေခံပြီးလုပ်ထားတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကဘာမှာနာမည်ရှိတယ်နာမည်ကြီးတယ်မုံရင်ကားဆိုလည်းနာမည်ကြီးတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့တခြားအဲ့လိုမျိုးကောင်းတဲ့အရာတွေအများကြီးရှိသေးတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကဘာကိုရောက်ဖို့ထိုးဖောက်မှုအားနည်းတယ်အားနည်းတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အပိုင်းကကျွန်တော်တို့နိုင်ငံမှာအခက်အခဲရပါတယ်လေဆိုတော့အခုလက်ရှိမှာနိုင်ငံရေးမတည်ငြိမ်မှုတွေအဲ့လိုမျိုးကာလလေးဖြစ်နေတဲ့ခါကျတော့ဒီအဘက်ကိုအာယုံမရောက်နေဘူးလူတွေကအကုန်လုံးငြိမ်းချမ်းမှုအတွက်ပဲအာယုံရောက်နေတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လက်ရှိမှာကဘာကိုရောက်ဖို့နည်းနည်းဟိုဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်
Last year, with the business taking off, the Mandalay Food House expanded to a second location, then a third all along this same alley. It's this neighborhood, Pratu Nam, where Burmese living and working in Bangkok have started to build something of a home base. And not just with necessity shops and a market, but with trendy cafes just like along the streets of Yangon. A sense of normalcy, something that must be nice for all the people who are here but would really like to be home. Most of the business in this area is meant to service the Burmese population. But there's one restaurant that's turned their attention outward. For the last few years, Kalyana has earned a reputation among immigrants here as Bangkok's best Burmese restaurant. It was a pretty tiny place, just a few tables, but with high-quality food and a well-respected chef. But a few months back, the owner had an inspiration. The place next door closed and they decided to try to remodel and rebrand and to see if they might become the first Burmese restaurant ever, at least in Thailand, to scale up and reach a wider audience. The new Kalyana, the one intended to appeal to the rest of Bangkok, opened at the beginning of the winter. From the upstairs bar to the decorative touches to the incredible menu with regional sets and original Burmese-inspired dishes, they got all the details right. And it was packed at 3:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, packed with Thai and Chinese customers, and by 5 we had to be gone because their dinner reservations were fully booked. I guess the secret to getting people to like this forgotten cuisine is getting them to try it. It seems as simple as that. It's a terrible fluke of timing that after 4,000 years of history and centuries as one of the world's great culinary melting pots, just as exotic cuisine started to pinball around the world, a time that should have been a showcase for Burmese traditions, the country all but fell off the map. But whether it's through the work of someone like Gugu pushing Burmese cuisine to a worldwide audience one person at a time, or maybe some of Myanmar's best chefs who find themselves abroad and serving their traditional recipes to a new audience, or forward-thinking entrepreneurs risking their business to reach a wider following. Sooner or later, this story will be told. And in the meantime, if you're ever in a busy and affluent area and you see a crowd of workers around a humble street cart off in the corner somewhere, don't think twice. Just grab that first open stool. Because if you're lucky, it might just open up an entire world you didn't even know existed. Subscribe to the channel for more from OTR. Find bonus content on the Patreon, and please don't forget to check out our website and Instagram linked below. And follow Gugu on her social media too. We'll have the link in the description box, because there's a good chance she's coming to somewhere near you.
Oh, my heart's racing already. It's so much more intense than... It's a mild caffeine, right? It's a stimulant, so it's like concentrated coffee.
It's kind of the central mission of OTR, to show how rewarding it is to explore the back streets and hidden alleys in search of the very best food, stories, and secrets. And here in Thailand, well, that's pretty much a perfect explanation for this. This is the food of Myanmar, Thailand's troubled and war-torn neighbor, which holds more culinary surprises than just about anywhere. From rare ingredients to unique flavors, bright and vibrant salads and rich savory curries, Burmese food has its own character, a magic that here hides in plain sight. But that's changing. A generation after the first waves of refugees and migrants flooded across the border, for the very first time, there are signs that soon it might not be unknown anymore. Today, we're tracing the path of Burmese cuisine, from the factory towns of Thailand's coastal south, all the way to the heart of downtown Bangkok. It's going to be a very good day.
မင်္ဂလာပါဒီတစ်ခါမှာတော့ OTR Food History Channel ကနေတင်ဆက်ထားတဲ့မြန်မာအစားအစာအကြောင်းဗီဒီယိုကိုဘာသာပြန်တင်ဆက်ပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာထိုင်းရောက်နေတဲ့မြန်မာတွေအများဆုံးနေတဲ့မြို့ကိုတွားရောက်ပြီးမြန်မာအစားအသောက်တွေကိုစားတောက်ရိုက်ကူးတာကိုမြင်တွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုချမ်းတဲ့တဲ့ဆိုရင်သူ့ channel ကိုလည်းတွားရောက်အားပေးပြီး subscribe လုပ်ပေးကြပါအောင်လို့တိုက်တွန်းပါတယ် channel မျိုးဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာစရန်ထိုးထားသလို description မှာလည်း link ထည့်ထားပါတယ်ဗီဒီယိုကိုအဆုံးထိကြည့်ရှုပေးပါဦးခင်ဗျာ
It might sound crazy in a country with 2,000 miles of coastline, but until 1960, Thailand actually imported most of its seafood. Back then, fishing was done with a hook and a line, and the stuff sold in markets mostly came from overseas. But then, a new innovation changed everything. By 1966, Thailand had built a fleet of 3,000 ocean trawlers, which scooped up everything in their path, a fleet that would triple by 1980. At first, the fish caught were sold to the domestic market, but so efficient were the country's fishing boats that soon attention would shift to export. To build the facilities where seafood could be canned or packaged, stored, and shipped, a location would be needed with a deep water harbor, close enough to Bangkok and the container port for easy transport, but far enough away for cheap land and lots of open space. The area here in Samut Sakhon was the obvious choice. In all of Thailand, it's actually the place with the oldest recorded history of the fishing trade, with shipwrecks found dating back 1,200 years. Anyway, where things really started to boom was in 1977 when a new company was founded called Asian Pacific Thai Tuna Company, today known as Thai Union Group. Consolidating operations and investing in large facilities, Thai Union would grow to become the largest employer in the industry, and today, no matter where you are in the world, well, there's a good chance you've eaten something processed, packaged, and shipped from their facilities in central Thailand. And those facilities are here, in a village called Ta Sai, where all told almost 250,000 workers cut, clean, and pack the fish and prawns that head for grocery store shelves around the world. This is the backbone of Thailand's seafood industry, and as with labor jobs everywhere, it's sustained by migrants. More than 75% of the workers here come from Myanmar, and once a week, right in the center of the Thai Union Company complex, well, it's the day off. The Sunday Burmese Market, an impromptu gathering for all the migrants in the province, so large that for one day each week, this would be one of the 15 biggest cities in Myanmar.
So I got 2 samosas, I got a donut for Jasper, and I got, thank you, I got something which looks like a pancake with shaved coconut inside. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna get some betel nut because when in Rome, when in Yangon. It's hard for me to talk because I have the betel nut in my mouth, but that's the factory. So that's the biggest part of the Thai Union Company factory right back there. And so the market every Sunday is here, and you can see where, this is all worker housing. All around us is worker housing. We've already seen other parts of the factory on the opposite side of the road. But if you look on a map, it's mostly concentrated back there. And then the main market we haven't even entered yet, and it's right up at the street to the left. And so I'm already complete sensory overload from the music and the sounds and the betel nut that I'm chewing on while I've just finished a coconut ice cream. But yeah, what an amazing, colorful, vibrant place that I'm so happy we came out to.
Now, Thailand might have a reputation as a tourist country, but here, the real economy is all about export, which is responsible for 10 times as much revenue as every penny spent each year by all foreign visitors combined. In this one province, there are more than 6,000 factories, and altogether, it contributes above 3% of the entire world's seafood output. For the workers, almost all of them Burmese migrants, it's not an easy life. Workdays are up to 14 hours long, often in freezing conditions. They live in dormitories, 8 or even more to a room, and earn an average of 10,600 baht per month, or about $300. But compared to what many of them left behind, it's at least a chance at a better life. And that story goes back to the same point in time when Thailand first began to profit from the bounty of the ocean. In 1962, in what was then a thriving country, General Ne Win and his supporters overthrew the Myanmar government, plunging what was then called Burma into violent crisis and destroying a growing economy. Now, I won't go too far into what happened after that. I mean, we already covered it in one of our videos. But while Thailand and much of Southeast Asia has grown and modernized, Myanmar hasn't. Today, in the country, the per capita GDP is $1,100 a year, the second lowest in Asia, ahead of only North Korea. The president is in prison in solitary confinement. There's genocide in the West, violence in the North and South, and every day seems to bring more troubling news. As many as 1 out of every 10 people born in Myanmar has fled the country or left by choice, and for many of them, their best chance at a new life meant packing a bag and coming here, to a place where at least there's a job and a paycheck and, once a week, some sense of community. We've said before on this channel that as many as 1 out of every 15 people in Bangkok is Burmese, and the city has its share of Myanmar restaurants and street stalls. But nothing like this. An entire Burmese town where the signs are in Burmese, the goods sold are Burmese, and all around, speakers blare Burmese pop music. But most of all, there's stuff like this. So finally, with all the background out of the way, we can get to the part where this is a food video. Alright, as usual here on OTR, we didn't set out on this mission looking for some deep and profound story. This all started because we were just looking for a good meal. Now, this video is not about me, but if I'm being honest, since the first time I discovered this stuff, I've fallen completely in love with Burmese food. It's just so different from anything else. It's easy to say that of course it's great, it's a country right between China, India, and Thailand, but that's almost disrespectful of how much of Burmese food is completely unique to Myanmar itself. I mean, the place might be pretty much unknown around the world, but it is a massive country, bigger in land area than Vietnam and Malaysia combined. Anyway, Burmese food might have 1,000 variations and massive diversity, but to try to sum it up in a few sentences, it's right at the junction of rich and refreshing, light and packed with flavor. It's not sweet, leaning towards salty and sour with a massive use of fermented ingredients like fish and vegetables and even tea leaves. It's a masterclass in textural contrasts, with crispy and soft side by side in almost everything from soups to salads to street food. And while there are a great deal of dishes recognizable from the influence of things like India's chettinad curries and China's stir-fries, there are also a lot of things that don't really have any analogs, endemic items shaped by thousands of years of history then lost to the outside world because of the same reasons why there are so many refugees and migrants in factory towns like this. Even in a place like Bangkok City, it's hard to find Burmese food. Not because it's not there, but we just don't know what we don't know. Hell, I walked past a Burmese lunch counter every day for a year before I understood that it was Burmese. Failing countries don't invest in marketing, and places at war don't get a ton of food vloggers. So since it stays under the radar, finding the real stuff means you might have to work for it. But the payoff is a meal like this, in the very back corner of the inside part of the Sunday market, in the shadow of a seafood processing plant an hour away from the big city. The main reason we came all the way out here.
All right, so I'm not sure we'll be able to use this because there is so much music playing everywhere around us, and we've been begging everyone just give us 5 minutes and turn this down so we can roll tape. There's still music, but we're going to be fast. Let me explain to you what's on the table. So this is the nanjito that we just tried. Again, please forgive my pronunciation. I don't speak Burmese. I've never had it as a spicy dish. I've never had the street food version. I've only ever had this at a couple of restaurants. It's amazing. This I'm about to try. Don't know what that is, but saw people ordering it. The onakasoi, which is one of the world's great noodle dishes. The stuff we picked up earlier, and Daria's coconut pancakes, and the music's starting to blast again, so we may need to wrap this up. Let me try their onakasoi. It's good, yeah? It's the first meal of the day for all of us. So other than the ice cream, and in my case, the beetle nut, let's try this. This is a house specialty. If you look around us, this is what everybody's eating. And this is what I saw on somebody's plate that made me decide that this was where we were going to start. And then when I went to the kitchen and I saw that they also make the onakasoi and this, which I have no idea what that is. It's going to be a very good day.
The concentration of incredible looking food in this area, at least on a Sunday, was so much fun. Everywhere there were plates, bowls, or bags of something or another that looked fascinating and unfamiliar and really, really good. But maybe the most surprising thing about this place was that in a country where so many people come here to eat, well, there were no outsiders at all, and one of the vendors even told us it had been months since she'd seen another foreigner. It's so off the radar that there's almost nothing online about it. No obvious pins on Google Maps or anything, and we only really found this place thanks to a tip from one single photographer, who I'll link below in the description. Nice work, Ulf. But maybe that does make sense, since here, Burmese food is pretty much only targeted to Burmese customers. In fact, I never really thought about it until now, but every time Daria and I have gone out for Burmese food, we've always been the only foreigners we've seen. And without trying to get too philosophical, well, why is that? Why are we the only outsiders we've ever seen when we've gone for Nigerian or Latvian, but there's always an international crowd at Bangkok's Indian or French restaurants? Why, out of 195 officially recognized countries, have only a handful of cuisines made it to the mainstream? It's not about size. I mean, hell, my old home, Indonesia, is the 4th largest country on Earth, but its amazing food is almost anonymous. It's not quality. I mean, if it was, we'd all be eating Ugandan every morning and Sri Lankan in the afternoon. I spent 5 days on a business trip in Norway and had the best soup I've ever tried. I was so enamored with one meal we had on a remote island in the Philippines that I changed my own restaurant menu to Filipino. It's not luck. The cuisines that are world famous certainly do deserve their stature, but it does seem like it takes a special set of circumstances. Mass immigration into trend-setting cities, government investment in cultural diplomacy, maybe a mention in a popular movie, something to stand out above equally deserving neighbors. What do they say about our oceans? Something like 2% has ever actually been explored. Well, sometimes it feels like that when it comes to food. Maybe that's why people like us get so hooked on traveling and eating, because there are so many surprises everywhere, and sometimes you try something and you just want to shout, "How did I never know about this before? How does everyone not know about this?" But I guess that's not the biggest problem for the Burmese migrants in places like this, who are just lucky to get out and to survive. The Burmese migrants who work in Samut Sakhon seafood factories are just a fraction of the total who've left Myanmar within this generation. It's estimated that there's somewhere around 3 million Burmese in Thailand today, with more spread around other parts of the world, and whether or not it's intentional, when stories like ours start tossing around numbers, we turn the people into statistics. The life of a migrant when told from long distance sounds more like a math equation than a three-dimensional image. 200,000 migrants in this village, $300 a month salary, 8 people to a dorm room. It's all so cold and distant that honestly the last thing I expected to find here was a soul. Something indescribable but very familiar. Here at the market, people laughed and sang karaoke and video called old friends. On the outskirts between the dorm buildings and warehouses, there were creative cafes with murals on the walls, posters advertising an upcoming Burmese music festival, which is coming up in just a few days. And the biggest surprise of all was down at the end of a dirt road, tucked between ramshackle housing and a vacant lot. Before we saw it, we could hear it. The sounds of hundreds of young people laughing, shouting, and cheering on friends and family. A teenage football tournament, 7-a-side and entirely Burmese. Strangers in a strange land and maybe statistics to the outside world, but partying like it's their very own World Cup. This is something that I think is not specific to Myanmar, but around the world, when the word migrant worker or the word refugee is used, it paints a picture that means something other than this. But that's not true. This is, to me, if Daria's been to Yangon, I never have, but it's a city of cafes, nice restaurants, this is, I would say, as representative of Burmese food as finding the street carts in the market. Is that fair?
Yeah. Because that's a very interesting point, because I spent a lot of time in Singapore, and as you said, when we 10, 15, 20 years ago, Myanmar food in Singapore is a bit more like roadside food that you can find in one of the food courts in Singapore. But let's say 10, 15 years ago, we started to see some nice Myanmar restaurants in where a lot of Myanmar people sort of gather around for Saturday and Sunday community gathering. And I see the same thing happening in Thailand as well, because say if you came here 5 years ago, you wouldn't see this kind of restaurant, air conditioned, nice setting, good food, nice presentation. You wouldn't see that in Bangkok. Now you begin to see that.
This is Tin, and he's a friend I know through the food and beverage industry. He's Burmese and owns a handful of restaurants in Myanmar, and today he's brought me to a place that just 7 months ago was almost incomprehensible. An upscale restaurant packed with foreign customers, built from the ground up on land that when we filmed here back in February was just a quiet corner of the Bang Bon migrant worker market. How hard is it for somebody from Myanmar to adjust to a life starting again in Thailand?
I think it will be as hard to Myanmar people to go to a foreign country, to start a new life as it is for everybody else. Like if you go to a foreign land, you don't speak the language, the culture is different, and then you don't know the rules and regulations, and you're just trying to start your life. So as communities Myanmar communities develop overseas in Singapore, in Kuala Lumpur, in Thailand, you begin to see this kind of upscale Myanmar restaurants. It is part of the journey that Myanmar people take overseas. So that's interesting, when you bring this up, this makes me think about what happened to us in Singapore.
Opening a restaurant like this, the first of its kind anywhere near here, is a gamble, but it's not the first taken by these owners. This is actually the second venue owned by the team behind Kalyana, which we referenced in our last Burmese video as the very first place in Bangkok to attempt to bring Myanmar food to a wider audience. And while that place had just reopened at the time of our filming, it seems so far the more people try this unique and flavorful cuisine, the more it's starting to catch on. Now, Tin is not a chef, and the restaurants he owns, well, they're actually unique in one specific way.
There's a reason why we got to know you, and it has nothing to do with food, but it does have to do with the food industry, more or less? Food and beverage?
Yes.
Beverage side of it?
Yes, beverage side.
So we have time, and it's a long story. We can talk as we're all eating, but tell me the broad strokes of it. The very first and still only craft brewery in Myanmar.
Yeah, actually, I was lucky enough to get a license to brew craft beer in Myanmar, and that was 2016. Actually, I started drinking craft beer back in 1998 when I first went to Singapore. And at the time, it was very new in Singapore as well. The first craft beer scene in Myanmar. And that was way before any country had craft beer in Southeast Asia. So when I started drinking craft beer, I was saying, oh, this beer is very different and I like it. And I was studying in Singapore, and then I started working, and all the colleagues after work always go to a craft beer place. On Friday, we say liquid diet, so we just drink craft beer. And then, the joke was, okay, what do we do one day? When we all retire, what do we do? So the answer was, we are going to start a brew pub somewhere exotic in Southeast Asia, like Bali or Phuket or Pattaya. But we all got married, moved on with lives, moved to different country, different industry. And but we stay in touch with each other. And when I was moving back to Myanmar with a young family, and one of my ex-colleagues came back to me and said, hey, we talk about this project, and now you're going to Myanmar, why don't we start a brew pub in Myanmar?
Tin is in Bangkok today because as he's watched Thailand's Burmese community grow and started to notice signs that maybe the food and culture is beginning to reach the mainstream, well, just last week, he opened the first overseas branch of Burbrit Brewery, selling things like burgers and French fries, but also snacks like lepetok, salty and sour, and maybe, paired with pints of his homemade ales and lagers, a great way to introduce those foods to the masses at his new location right in downtown Bangkok.
What is so surprising, about Sukhumvit these days is when I walk around, I hear Myanmar's language all the time, in the street. You wouldn't expect that just 10 years ago. But, last few months I've been back in Bangkok to start this pub. And I noticed that, there are a lot of Myanmar people living and working and studying in Bangkok. And that is so obvious. You just cannot help noticing it. And it's no surprise that, you have more Myanmar restaurants popping up everywhere in Bangkok.
Burbrit Brewery on Sukhumvit 22 is not a Burmese restaurant per se. It's a beer bar where some of the snacks just happen to be Burmese. And that, along with the expansion of foreign-facing restaurants like Kalyana, well, maybe it's just another fun side note in a global culinary city like Bangkok. But it's just as possible that in 10 years, we'll look at these places as the groundbreakers, the first milestones on the path that brings Burmese food from the factory cities into the mainstream. A few weeks ago on the channel, we covered the story of Hainan chicken rice, how Hainanese immigrants to Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia started as the lowest workers on the economic ladder, but within a generation, their children or children's children would have saved up the money to open up their own businesses. They'd speak the local language while still knowing their family traditions, and that's how their food, unknown until the 1940s, eventually spread everywhere. Honestly, that's kind of a story for almost everything. Chinese food didn't really take off in the US or Europe until the children of the miners and railroad workers opened restaurants, first in places like San Francisco and then everywhere. So many of the cuisines and dishes that have spread globally started with migrants or refugees striving to give a better life to their children while keeping their own food traditions intact. And after that, with a bit of luck in the right environment, with trendsetters serving as the canaries in the coal mine, and of course with food good enough to win over anyone, well, maybe that's the formula. And hopefully, if one day Myanmar finally finds stability, if freedom and democracy return and political prisoners are released, by the time tourists can start to come again, they'll show up because just like we all dream of baguettes in Paris or tacos in Mexico, it'll be worth a flight for a plate of lapetok and maybe a fresh brewed pint of Burbrit. Subscribe to the channel for more from OTR. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us on Patreon. It really helps to keep us going. Please click the link below for Patreon, Instagram, or any of our social media, and we'll see you next week. Alright, I want you to think about the food you know, the dishes and cuisines that have spread everywhere. How did it happen? What were the circumstances that led all of us to know about Lebanese shawarma but not, Ugandan Rolex? For a food to break through, it takes a lot of things to go right or wrong. And even then, it's not enough. Something has to trigger a big bang. And while over the last 50 years that's happened for almost every country in Asia, there has been a giant hole on the map. Until perhaps right now. All of a sudden in one city, a place where we happen to live, Burmese food is having a moment. Dishes that previously belonged only to migrants and refugees are suddenly found on the trendiest tables, and even on the menus of popular upscale restaurants. And it's transforming everything from Bangkok's dining to its famous nightlife scene. So today we're diving in, revisiting the food of Myanmar to find out what's changed and why this amazing stuff might be coming for you next. In the 1870s, as the United States rebuilt after the Civil War, a new economy took shape, with innovations and technology transforming America into a land of opportunity, or at least a place with a lot of available factory jobs. To that point, the number of Italians in the country was around 25,000, or just a 20th of 1% of the national population. Over the next 4 decades, that number would increase to more than 4 million. The new arrivals came primarily from Italy's south, war-torn and long oppressed, and when they came, most of them came with almost nothing. After passing through Ellis Island, some would move on looking for work, but the vast majority stayed in New York City, in the worst part of Manhattan, an area once home to Irish gangs known as the Five Points. Today we call it Little Italy. Now, I bring this up because it's always said that those Italian immigrants introduced their food to America, which led to its worldwide popularity. But that's not the whole story. The truth is, for a generation, those migrants would live separate from society, existing in their own parallel country, working the lowest paying jobs and just scraping by, and nobody else cared about the stuff they were eating. It was migrant worker food. It would take a full 25 years after the start of mass migration before the first Italian restaurant opened outside their own community. The year was 1905, and the place would be called Lombardi's, selling a dish they Americanized as tomato pie. This would build a small following, and over the next few years, Lombardi's cooks would fan out across New York, opening more pizza parlors. And soon enough, as second-generation migrants assimilated and learned the local language, they'd view this as a way to start their own business. Within a decade, pizza was known across the United States, and then it started its global takeover. This is not a path unique just to Italian cuisine in America. Over and over, when migrants arrive somewhere new, it might take years and years before something hidden in ethnic clusters explodes into the mainstream. But when it does, there's no stopping what comes next. And this brings us to Burmese food. Since we launched OTR in late 2022, we've done 2 videos on Myanmar's cuisine filmed in Bangkok. I mean, this is a city where as many as 2 million Burmese workers are living, and their food has been one of the best-kept local secrets. The first video we did explored the incredible dishes hidden in plain sight in Bangkok's poorest enclaves. The second time, we spent a day at the seafood processing factories in Samut Sakhon. Now, it took work to find the best stuff, but both times we filmed, we did see signs that there were people trying to break through to the mainstream. First, it was Kalyana, a humble Burmese restaurant that had just rebranded, trying something never done before, targeting Thais and foreigners instead of migrants. Next shoot, it was a Burmese-owned brew pub, sneaking a few Myanmar dishes onto a burger and fries menu. But today, well, suddenly and without warning, those kinds of places are the norm, not the exception. And just like New York in the 1910s, well, this city can't get enough of this fascinating new cuisine. This is a place called Rangoon Tea House, located in Bangkok's posh Thonglor neighborhood, and open, like most of the places we're going today, for just a few weeks. In fact, only about 20 days at the time of this taping. There was buzz from the very beginning. I mean, after all, this is an offshoot of perhaps the most famous restaurant in Yangon, honored by Asia's 50 Best and listed as a must-see by international publications. But because of the war at home, Rangoon Tea House started looking for locations abroad, hoping customers might accept their elevated takes on Burmese classics. And Bangkok's foodies have certainly responded. It shouldn't surprise you to know that the owner of this place is a celebrity in Myanmar's culinary world. His name is Tet, and he's been in this business since opening that first location in his home city 10 years ago.
So for me, the word we use for the last 7-8 years is always celebration, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor or you have somewhere to stay or you don't. We celebrate the small things, right? You celebrate your birthday, you celebrate anniversaries, and for us, when we look at Burmese food, it's too large. I cannot generalize and say we serve Burmese food, but we can celebrate the culture of eating. And that's what Rangoon Tea House is. That's why you see really authentic dishes. You see some dishes which we've created just for this. But you also see that throughout the space, from the decor to the way the team treat each other and the guests, everything is a celebration for us. So I wanted to emphasize that.
Rangoon Tea House is one of a handful of new restaurants that have changed the local perception of Myanmar's food. Many of them only open for a short amount of time. And for Tet, well, that poses a challenge, but also an opportunity.
For better or for worse. And I don't mean to put you in an uncomfortable spot by saying this, because none of us want to view ourselves this way.
Right.
But you're the vanguard, right? Like, this generation is the first real ambassadors to the outside world of Burmese cuisine.
Right.
First of all, can you just talk about that in general and how you hope or expect? You know, to me, this is one of the world's great food traditions.
Right.
I'm obsessed with Burmese food. Everybody who watches this channel knows that I'm obsessed with Burmese cuisine and how all the different sort of regional variations. But to take that next step of now not just leaving Myanmar and servicing the migrant workers, but introducing it to the outside world.
Right.
How do you feel about that responsibility?
Okay, so I'm a Burmese guy. Let's say I wanted to open an Italian or a Japanese restaurant, right? You can find great designers, you can find chefs that have had years of experience. You can go on Pinterest and find some pictures and ChatGPT and find how to put a menu together. But when you're talking about Burmese food and Burmese restaurants or anything around our kind of culinary culture, no one's done it before you, so therefore there's two sides. The hard side is that because no one's done it before you, you don't really have a direction. But I think when you learn to enjoy that, it's pretty fun, to be honest, because
And the other side of it is that there's no customer expectation of the music you need to be playing or the costumes that people to have hanging on the walls or things like that. So there is some freedom in how you choose to introduce it.
Course.
So how do you choose to introduce Burmese food? You have a very interesting menu.
Yeah, so tea houses for me, when we opened 10 years ago, one of the reasons why we did it is because when I was interning at one of my previous jobs and we had a lot of guests coming in, so we're talking people who work for NGOs or diplomats or people from large organizations from other countries come to Yangon. Always the end meal, which was the celebration, is always at an Italian or a French or a Japanese restaurant. Why shouldn't it be at a Burmese one, right? So for me, I want to look at it from the perspective of, firstly, the culture behind eating. I want you to come to a Burmese restaurant and think, you know what, I'm going to reward myself or reward the people around me by eating Burmese food. That's the first. I think the second, when you're talking about menu, that's why I love tea houses. In tea houses, there's no such thing as a wrong item on a tea house menu. So you can go from something really authentic, you should eat, which is like a mohinga, which we've had from day one. But then we have a lot of grilled dishes where we've taken inspiration from different parts of the country, like Kachin State or Shan State. But then there's some new items on the menu for Bangkok, like burrata with mutton and tea leaves, which is basically us having fun and interpreting it in that way. And I think when you have that whole variety, it's pretty fun, to be honest.
All right, now when Daria and I moved to Bangkok from China, one of the most exciting things was the chance to try Burmese food, something even as a chef and living most of my adult life in Asia I'd never experienced. So I remember checking Google Maps for a Burmese restaurant and finding 4 in the entire city, and I know that's the number because we tried all of them in our first 2 weeks. Now, as it happened, of course, we'd start to realize there were a lot more than 4. Hell, there was basically an infinite amount of street carts and small diners, and they were incredible, just so unknown that they were literally not on the map. If you do that same search again today, just 3 years later, you'll see a very different picture of Bangkok's Burmese food scene. Dozens upon dozens of new restaurants have opened, across downtown, in the best neighborhoods, ranging from local spots to upscale dining to a rooftop gastro bar. All of these new places, well, on the surface, it doesn't really make sense. Why now, after decades of massive numbers of Burmese in this city? Well, let's go back to Rangoon Tea House. Remember how I said it started across the border? Well, it turns out that's a common thread. Shui Tea opened here after a successful run in Shan State. Burbrit, the brew pub, was once known as the first craft brewery in Myanmar. And even this place, which we found in another video filmed in Klong Toi Market, well, that was a chain of massive cafeterias in Yangon, and those are just a few examples. I guess it does make sense that Burmese food would start to catch on when so many of the country's best chefs all of a sudden popped up here, pretty much simultaneously. But again, why now? Why, after so many years of culinary anonymity, has this all happened just since our last video on the topic? Well, for that answer, we need to look across the border. This is Aung San Suu Kyi. She's the president of Myanmar. Except she's not, because on February 1st, 2021, just after she won a landslide election promising reform and freedom, she was arrested and deposed by the country's military, which seized power in a coup, reigniting a 60-year-long Burmese civil war. Now, 2 years ago, the conflict could basically be described as the military under this guy, he's the villain, facing off against the vast majority of the general public. There were protests and demonstrations followed by massacres and bombings, and things were bad. But since then, it's gotten much, much worse. The very short version is that way back in 2023, the military government was backed by a coalition of a half-dozen militant groups coming from different parts of the country, along with quiet support from China and a few other anti-democratic states. The people, Aung San Suu Kyi's coalition, well, they were represented by her own party's militia, along with rebel groups armed with smuggled weapons, student organizations, and bands of ethnic minorities, factions representing people like the Mon, the Karen, the Pa'o, and the Kachin, along with the majority Bamar. Now, basically, right after we made that first video, the military found itself on its back foot, losing control over much of the country and hemorrhaging support from allies. And in response, like a cornered tiger, they lashed out, turning military aircraft against their own people, destroying infrastructure and shutting down communication networks. But the good guys were winning, or so it seemed for a brief moment. The problem was, in the vacuum left behind by all the destruction, many of the groups on both sides of the war, well, they began fighting each other, not just their supposed enemy. With the military losing its grip on power, their alliances splintered, China pulling its support instead of betting on the wrong side, coalition partners denouncing the dictator, and on the other side, groups and provinces and sometimes individual towns began defending whatever they had left, fighting not for an overarching goal but simply for survival, and in some cases for breakaway independence. It became almost literally every man for himself, and with such carnage and chaos and no organized sides to supply, the outside world basically told Myanmar, okay, you're on your own, good luck. The whole country devolved into sectarian violence, and as much as I wish there was another chapter to the story, well, that's about where it stands right now. Now, as this relates to food, here's the point. In the past, most of the 4 million or so migrants from Myanmar came because they didn't have any other choice. They were refugees at the bottom of the economic ladder, mostly from the minority provinces where the fighting was worst. But when things got bad and the violence reached the major cities, well, that brought a different wave of arrivals. Industry and tourism professionals who had no choice but to change public perception of their cuisine. And that brings us to our next meal. This is Tanaka, open for about 18 months right next to Bangkok's tourist hub of Nana. In better times, the three partners owned a tour agency in Mandalay, with offices in France and England, spending their days bringing foreigners to a country that they themselves have now had to leave. But that experience taught them that there was potential in introducing their cuisine to the outside world.
I used to live in Paris. Okay, so that is one of the ways that I survive by cooking. And not a restaurant, but I cook for friends, like Ono Kaosue, that everybody loves it. So we just need to promote and we just need to introduce to as many people as possible. And there I have no doubt that people will hate it. No doubt. No doubt, the people will not hate it. So they will love it, and they just need to know the taste, and they just need to be familiar with Burmese food. So I have such a confidence that if we can grow, and if we can introduce more to the people, then Burmese food will be more and more popular.
So somebody who's watching this, who's never
even considered the opportunity to actually visit Myanmar, maybe never thought about it as a country, how would you explain it? How would you describe the country to somebody on the outside? It's a big question. Sorry.
It is. It is. Well, the country itself, it's the biggest in Southeast Asia as one piece of land. And we have a variety of geography. We have snow-capped mountain, we have sea, we have such a long history, and the people are really smiling people and very good-hearted people. Unfortunately, right now, our country's situation is a very bad situation. So that is the reason why I am here in Thailand. So I never thought of staying in abroad and doing business of my own. I have been always in the tourism, and I always love to show my country to other people. As for the country, we have variety. It's a diversity of people, diversity of culture, and everything. So I'm sure our country has such a potential and such a lovable place to come back to visit again. But for the time being, there is a war, like everybody knows, and for different reasons that people should come and visit Myanmar in a good time, which I hope coming soon.
That's really good. Boris, before I take a bite, I want you to see what this looks like when I kind of cut into it. So you see if we got that on camera. Am I positioning this correctly? Let's give it a try. With leek root. Everything's great, but different.
Different is probably the operative word when it comes to describing Burmese cuisine. And honestly, this might be the biggest reason why, now that this is going mainstream here, it seems destined to spread quickly around the entire world. See, here's the thing about food. If you look at the things that really take off, it's not just the dishes, it's unique flavors and techniques that can be absorbed and adapted to suit any palate. Like, just look at how many directions pizza has taken since 1905, or how different cultures have put their own spin on curries or tacos or sushi. All of us in the culinary world, and I spent almost 20 years cooking before we started this channel, well, we all want things we can play around with, and Burmese food is full of stuff that's just wildly unique and different. I wish, in my time in the kitchen, I'd known about things like pickled tea leaves and chickpea tofu. This stuff is just begging to be added to an artist's palette. Burmese food is unique in the entire world, and it should be. Again, look at all the neighboring influences. It's not sweet like Thai food, subtle like Chinese, or spicy like Indian. The local palate leans, if anything, salty and sour, with a ton of funkiness. Fermented ingredients from fish paste to preserved lemon, used in everything from soups to salads to curries. There's massive regional diversity, as you'd expect in a country stretching from the Himalayas to the southern tropics. But one thing almost all of it has in common is by far, the world's most obsessive focus on texture. Everything has some kind of surprise. Hell, you'll often find a half dozen textures in one single dish. I mean, this is a cuisine with crunchy salads and chewy soups, and it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's Burmese food. And it's not just the bordering countries that have put their stamp on local cuisine. I mean, the same ethnic diversity that's caused so much tension, well, it's also brought a lot of unique food. with ethnic tribes unique to the country, each with their own specialties and some dating back literally thousands of years, just waiting to be discovered by the outside world. It's the kind of thing that as a chef makes you want to play around, to take these ingredients and techniques and add them to your arsenal. And as Burmese food has started to be introduced to Greater Bangkok, the home of some of the world's best chefs, well, that's exactly what's happening. And this brings us to our next meal, at another of the city's trendiest venues, maybe the first to incorporate Burmese food into a decidedly non-Burmese menu.
All right, so this is maybe of all the places that we're going to visit today, or that we've already visited, this is the most fascinating when you talk about the progression of Burmese food towards sort of the outside world, because this is not a Burmese restaurant. This is Luca, which is a place that me and Daria occasionally go for a brunch when we don't have to work and we can just throw down a bottle of champagne or a few cocktails. Oh my God, forget how strong it is here. This is a really trendy spot to the point where it's so busy that we have to come here when they're technically closed because they're booked out. So they're just about to open for dinner service, and they were nice enough to accommodate us and let us get in just a touch early. And the reason we came is because of this. So on their menu of, like, you know, all your favorites, your grilled meats, your brunch items, you know, kind of greatest hits from around the world, there's lepetok. And this is very much not presented for a Burmese crowd. This is presented because it's a great dish that fits in on a menu, and they do theirs in a very elevated way with, I believe, grilled cabbage along with the fermented tea leaves and the crispy split peas and all the amazing things that make up a lepetok, which in fairness is not a crazy idea. It is something that should be on menus like this. There's a lot of Burmese dishes that should be on menus like this, but this one actually is. And I think lots of credit to this restaurant for doing it, you know, and this is one of those things that's been on their menu for quite some time, even though they do change dishes sometimes. And this is, again, just grilled pork. So yeah, we are going from here drinking. That's the rest of the shoot. There's a whole bunch of new Burmese beer gardens. We'll see if the weather holds up and lets us actually explore Pratunam as much as we want to. There's a really cool kind of, you know, upmarket nighttime Myanmar area that we're going to go walk around next after a stop at our friend's Burmese craft brewery. But this is a place that you go to get a drink along with your food. So the night starts now. Let's try the lepetok.
Alright, so what are the ingredients, no pun intended, that allow a cuisine previously unknown to join that rarefied list of stuff familiar everywhere? I mean, sure, Burmese food might be taking off in Bangkok, but this is only one city. How do we know what's coming next? Well, there's no way to be certain, but there are a few hints of what that might be. First, and maybe most importantly, the food is good. I mean, it's really good and not like anything else. Now, obviously, a lot of places have great cuisine that's undiscovered. But the second factor is that Myanmar is a huge country. It's massive, with a population the same size as Italy. And just like Italian food, which took 25 years to break through after 4 million refugees arrived overseas, Well, it's been pretty much exactly 25 years since Burmese citizens began leaving, at least in big numbers, with the first wave fleeing between 1997 and 2004. And again, like that old story about pizza, it's the second generation, growing up in a new country absorbed into a new culture who are opening some of the new restaurants. Places like Kalyana, again the first in Bangkok to target non-Burmese, owned by someone born in Bangkok to migrants from Myanmar. And Bangkok matters too. There are Burmese refugee centers across the planet, from Bangladesh to Malaysia to Fort Wayne, Indiana. But for a spark to light a global match, it has to happen in a place where trends are set. And Bangkok is a city that sees tens of millions of tourists and is home to major multinational companies. We've already seen food trends spring from here just in the recent past. Like New York and London and Los Angeles, when something finds itself front and center in this city, it's gonna get noticed by people from everywhere. And there's one more factor that seems predictive of widespread success. See, if you make a list of the stuff that's gone global, things like, of course, pizza and mukata, along with recent favorites like Ethiopian food and Korean barbecue, there's a social element. Things meant not just to be enjoyed, but to be enjoyed with friends or family. I mean, new stuff is a lot more exciting when it's not just delicious, it's fun. And this might be the defining characteristic of how Bangkok is actually discovering Burmese cuisine. See, while until now Burmese food outside the country has generally been found at street stalls and migrant worker restaurants, the actual culture inside Myanmar, well, that revolves around hours-long meals at massive tea houses and nights out at the country's famous beer gardens, where the salty and sour Burmese food is a perfect match for a good time. So after a quick stop for happy hour at Burbrit, getting ready for the evening with a pint of Rangoon Blonde, well, we're gonna take a drive to visit a part of Bangkok that is rapidly turning into a thriving and jam-packed Burmese bar street. Alright, now maybe Phetchaburi Soi 15 isn't the Las Vegas Boulevard or Lan Kwai Fong, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, an honest-to-goodness bar street with loads of options for sitting outside with a cold beer and listening to live music. The area where we are is part of a neighborhood called Pratunam, one we covered in its own video as Bangkok's electronics and textiles hub, packed with traders and immigrants and tons of hotels, located right at the end of the airport express line and one of the busiest places in the country when it comes to foreign travelers. It's a true melting pot, just the kind of place where something might catch on and reach a global audience. And with nearly 24 Burmese restaurants and beer bars in just this small cluster, well, as that cuisine spreads, I mean, this is ground zero. But as much as the outside world now gets to see Burmese food and culture on lively display, for the people here, well, it's been a long road. The first place we stopped, Mandalay Food House, well, before it became popular and expanded to more and more venues, it was something of a community center for displaced refugees. And there are a lot of those in Pratunam, where at the factories owned by Thais, Indians, and Japanese, migrants from Myanmar since the early 2000s have clustered here to work the lowest paying jobs, sewing clothes, stocking warehouses, and hauling merchandise. For them, this was a place of survival, somewhere to start again from the bottom, and that goes for the restaurant staff too, like our friend Pooh, who holds a postgrad degree in zoology, and the first manager we met here 2 years ago, who in his hometown was a banker, a hometown that's now destroyed. For all the Burmese here, the food, this music and atmosphere is a sense of home, reclaiming something lost, but it's also a reminder of how much things have truly changed. It must be a strange feeling seeing your cuisine become fashionable and trendy only because your home country is such a mess. For those Italians in New York City, was it a feeling of pride or of something lost? Same with the Vietnamese who introduced their food to Los Angeles after being chased out by Ho Chi Minh's Communist Army. The Cantonese whose dim sum and wonton soup only spread after the Japanese attacked Guangzhou, and on it goes. Take one more look at those dishes we all know, and what you see is a story of success, but it's complicated. And we'll probably never know how complicated it actually is, and how much even a fun night out must be a reminder of how much things have changed. As just one example, in those actual Burmese beer gardens, well, the drink of choice was the national brand, Myanmar beer. Except that beer, with its 80% domestic market share before the coup, well, like everything else, it became a political flashpoint, with the brewery connected to the oppressive army and a national boycott declared, and bar owners in some cases forced at gunpoint to buy the beer, then attacked and vandalized by rebels for selling it. But for the people here, those circumstances are just one more thing out of their control. So they sell Chang or Heineken, or even try to make their own, and just do whatever it takes to make the best of the hand they've been dealt. And I guess in some ways that makes bars like these a sign of defiance and survival, with our acceptance of the food less important than the simple act of just existing, persevering in the face of all that's gone wrong.
All right, let me see if I can put a coherent thought together on beer number 4. But I have to, because I'm certainly not going to be able to after beer number 4, 5, 6, whatever comes next. I think for me, the most exciting thing about being here in this area and seeing this restaurant's 2 months old. Like it's 8 weeks old. They just opened. All the places on this street are brand new, that we're going to see tonight, or if you were to come to Pratunam, you're going to see a neighborhood that is aggressively changing. And I think what's really cool about it is that the places that are opening are not what we showed you a year ago. Even the last time we did a video on the Burmese workers in Bangkok, Boris, when we were taping in Klong Toy Market not that long ago, every time we talk about Myanmar, we're talking about, refugees and migrants and people who left a horrible situation at home. And I think what gets lost in there sometimes, and this is my own fault as much as anybody, what gets lost when we talk about, Myanmar is that it's a real country. It's a real place. People don't feel sorry for themselves, right? They want to go out and have a beer, watch a football game, eat some food. And I can't even imagine how thrilling it must be for people who are here and can't go back home to finally be able to see what they really miss. I'm sure it's one thing to have Burmese food represented at a street cart in a back alley. It's another thing to see it start to be front and center. Right next door, there's a gigantic, Thai restaurant just like this. And here, this is Burmese. And you go down the street, and it's now 2 or 3 more just like this that are Burmese, but the customers are foreigners and Thai and from Myanmar. And really, I think if there was one thing that a refugee would hope for, it's for their own culture to be normalized. And what's really exciting to me is how normal this is. And I think that's, we can see the trends sort of forming here. And that is literally the limit of how philosophical I can be on beer number 4 after that cocktail as well. They make their own beer here. This is Yo-Yo Lai Lager. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but it just just needs a little carbonation. It'll be fine.
When you come to a Burmese restaurant of any variety, whether it's our tea house or whether someone else's high-end restaurant or a street hawker, Burmese food is about culture, texture, flavor. It's about celebration. Nothing will be small in portion. Everything will always be generous and very colorful and very vibrant. So I would say when you come to a Burmese restaurant, come with an open mind. I know for sure you'll find something on the menu that suits you.
The majority of my Western clients and Thai customers, and their feedback are quite good. But I'm so glad that that is the food which they are not familiar with. But when they try it, so they give a feedback, they give a recommendation because they really do like it. So then their feedbacks are really good.
So if somebody's never tried the food from your home city, from Mandalay, just before we finish and then I'm going to eat, what would you say? How can you explain the food of Mandalay?
Perfection.
မြန်မာစေဂုဏ်ယူမိပါတယ် It's really proud and really grateful because this is who they are love our if they cannot love our Myanmar people, sure they definitely not come this place. This is the kind of love Myanmar people and then kind of love Myanmar food. So Myanmar say ဂုဏ်ယူမိပါတယ် pity ဖြစ်မိပါတယ် It's really like proud and happiness and happiest. Yes.
When people in Thailand, mostly Thai citizens, think of Myanmar people, they think of migrant workers. Migrant workers and food. Food is like oily food, not a lot of flavors. We wanted to give them that idea of Myanmar food can be
elegant.
Elegant, yeah, like this.
Look at this. Yeah.
Like this.
Boris, are you ready to eat like 9 dishes? All of this is on your shoulders, Boris. I can't. Like, I can't. I've already I've loosened my belt. I've unbuttoned the jeans. There's the next step for me is to just take the pants off altogether. I have nothing else that I can do. Boris, this is now your responsibility. Subscribe to the channel for more from OTR. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us on Patreon. It really helps to keep us going. Find links below to our Patreon and social media, and we'll see you soon. So I think this is the first time ever on OTR that I have been scared. I'm honestly, I'm worried. I think my calculation right now needs to be what will I not be able to bring home. The biryani, as great as that looks, that'll make great leftovers, so I might put that aside. The lepetok, the little bit that's left of what I actually ordered, that can hold off, and this, I'm gonna try it, but this is what Daria just ran 30 kilometers, just her little nighttime jog. So I can bring this home for her. I don't think that the tofu nui or the mohinga is gonna hold. And so that has to be what I eat. This is my favorite. You watched the first Burmese food video we did. You know that this entire thing started with this dish. This is like This was what blew my mind. This was the life-changing dish for me. I am overwhelmed, intimidated, terrified, and not drunk enough yet. So let's continue with that. There's ice in it. I like that.
There are some categories of food we all know. Like if I say the word salad, no matter where you are, there's probably something that immediately comes to mind. Some combination of vegetables, fruits, or meats that's so essential you don't even give it a second thought. But what if we've all been doing salads wrong all along? Inside Bangkok's migrant worker enclaves, there's something hiding in plain sight that might change how you look at food forever. This is Atok, the fascinating and revolutionary world of Burmese salads. Here, nothing's off limits. Anything goes, and the only rule is the more fun, the better. From rare ingredients to epic techniques to the planet's best drinking foods, this is the story of the salads of Myanmar. Today on OTR.
မင်္ဂလာပါဒီတစ်ခါမှာတော့ OTR Food History Channel ကနေတင်ဆက်ထားတဲ့မြန်မာအစားအစာအကြောင်းဗီဒီယိုကိုဘာသာပြန်တင်ဆက်ပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုထဲမှာတော့ထိုင်းရောက်နေတဲ့မြန်မာအစားအစာတွေထဲမှာအတုပ်တွေအကြောင်းကိုအထူးရွေးချယ်ပြောပြသွားတာကိုမြင်တွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဘဝမှာအတုပ်တစ်မျိုးတည်းသာစားပြီးနေထိုင်ရမယ်ဆိုရင်မြန်မာမှာပဲနေမယ်လို့တောင်ပြောယူရတဲ့အထိမြန်မာအတုပ်တွေကောင်းကြောင်းပြောသွားတာမြင်တွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီဗီဒီယိုကြိုက်နေတဲ့ဆိုရင်သူ့ channel ကိုလည်းတွားရောက်အားပေးပြီး subscribe လုပ်ပေးကြပါအောင်လို့တိုက်တွန်းပါတယ် channel မျိုးဗီဒီယိုအောက်ခြေမှာစတန်းထိုးထားသလို decoration ထဲမှာလည်း link ထည့်ထားပါတယ်ဗီဒီယိုကိုအဆုံးထိကြည့်ရှုပေးပါအောင်ခင်ဗျာ
A long time ago, back when I was just starting out in the kitchen, I used to invite friends to come over to my old Charlottesville apartment and have a competition. The rules of the game were based on a TV show called Iron Chef. And basically how it worked, at least for us, was my roommate would run to the grocery store, pick out one random ingredient, and then it was on us to turn it into a 3-course dinner. Now, no one ever actually won these contests because honestly, by the time it was over, we would all be too sideways. But winning wasn't the point. It was all about what Iron Chef was and what it represented as a cook. Are you good enough to take anything and figure out how to prepare it, season it, and make it shine, to coax out the maximum flavor and give one item its proper showcase? Now, this was a lot of fun, but it was just a TV show. I mean, that's not how you cook in real life. Or at least that's what I thought until stumbling into a neighborhood like this one. Atok, or Burmese salads, are not your grandma's bland, tasteless side dish, but a wild category where each and every version, and there are literally thousands, is all about showcasing one single ingredient. And it's even more fun than you might imagine. Anything can be a salad. Fruits or vegetables, but also sauces, leftover curries, and even entire snacks like samosas. If it's in the fridge or the pantry, well, good enough. Toss in some seasoning, add a few layers of texture, and keep on going until even the most unappealing item becomes a rock star. It's a concept that's deceptively simple, but it is revolutionary. Everywhere else, you order a salad when you want a salad. But in Myanmar, you order one when you want anything because that's what it is. Anything, just optimized. Basically, each version of Atok is an Iron Chef challenge. The idea of doing whatever it takes to make one single ingredient taste as good as possible. The end result is something so incredible that Myanmar should be to salads what Italy is for pasta, or India for curries. The absolute pinnacle and the worldwide standard, but unfortunately, thanks to a 65-year civil war, the art is pretty much confined to neighborhoods like this. So it's on us to try to tell the story.
Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different today. We've been going really deep into history and stuff like that. Today we are going to just eat because I have wanted for a long time on the channel to show you something that I think is a really well-kept secret. All of Burmese food is a well-kept secret, but the idea of salads, you know, when you think of salads, you think of something Western, you think of, you know, the classic Caesar and things like that, right? But the truth is, you know, just coming to this one restaurant, there's about 30 salads on the menu, right? At just this one place. There's going to be more and more and more as we go through the day-to-day to these other restaurants that come from Myanmar. The category of salad, what they call tok, which I just Googled, translates directly to mixed, right? But it's a salad. That category here, we're in Thailand because unfortunately the situation in Myanmar, we can't go there to film yet, but in Thailand, in all the Burmese neighborhoods, category of salads is broad, it's diverse, it's exciting.
What do we have?
What do we, okay. Classic Burmese tea leaf salad, lapatok. We have pennywort salad, which is quite common and famous in Myanmar. We have a salad made with tamarind leaves. Nanjitok, so thick noodles in a chicken curry. We have a rice noodle salad, which is a salad. It's a salad, you know, by definition. If a Olivier salad in Russia, which is chopped meat, mayonnaise,
And that's it?
cooked vegetables.
Oh, there are green peas in there. So does it count?
There's cilantro on top of this.
Green?
And then we have the crispy chickpea fritter salad. All of these count as salads. There's 100 more that we have not gotten to yet. But again, I just wanted to kind of explore this today because it's a really fun thing to dive into. We've never done it on the channel before. And yeah, philosophical question before we eat. What makes a salad a salad?
Salad dressing, something green, and a bowl. But it should be there.
All right, now, since we all know that salads are health food, we might as well go crazy. 6 versions on the table for breakfast, 23 over the next few hours, but let's start with these. The lapettok, or fermented tea leaf salad, is the main hero, arguably Myanmar's national dish, and a perfect way to illustrate the art form of how these actually work. The tea leaves by themselves are salty and just a little bit bitter. So to bring it into balance, add a big hit of umami from tomatoes, dried shrimp, and ngapi, or fish sauce. Then brighten it up with some acidity like fresh lime. Round out the flavor by adding a little bit of chili and some crispy fried garlic, and then for texture, toss in peanuts, cabbage, and fried split peas. Coat with a touch of peanut oil, and there you go. It is still all about the tea leaves, but now they are perfect. You can repeat that general philosophy to explain all the other dishes in the category, like tart and sour tamarind leaves offset by toasted chickpea flour, sesame seeds, and garlic oil. Leftover chicken curry combined with thick rice noodles, coriander, onion, and crispy chickpea fritters. And crispy chickpea fritters dressed with tamarind, fish sauce, and chili to add a pop of flavor without making the whole thing go soggy. That's basically how it works. You could do the same thing with anything in the kitchen.
This is so good. I don't know what I tried. Mix of everything, but it was really good.
All right, guys. First location. We have several more to go. Come join us and eat.
I have a theory about the origin of atok. It's not based on anything since research into Burmese cuisine is pretty much impossible. 500 years of nonstop war has not been good for record keeping. But let's go back to that map. Myanmar is surrounded by some of the world's most famous culinary countries, China, India, and Thailand. Now, we can say with strong confidence that there is no connection when it comes to salads. They could not be any more different in taste or general concept. But there is one possible route of influence, and that's way up in the far north, all the way in the Himalayas of Kachin State. See, in the Himalayas, there's a strikingly similar concept, something in Nepal known as sadeko, tangtse in Tibet, and hoge in Bhutan. Just like Burmese atok, those involve choosing one ingredient and layering flavors and textures to make it all shine. It might be a coincidence, again, we have no way to check, but it is worth noting that the Burmese people came from the Tibetan plateau. The Kachin, Karen, and majority Bamar all splitting off from the highland tribes and moving south over the last 2,000 years. In fact, so connected are the two regions that the people of Myanmar and the Himalayas share a unique language family, what's known as Tibeto-Burman. So if there is a connection, why are the salads in those highland countries seen as no more than humble sides? And in Myanmar, atok is the entire backbone of cuisine. Well, that part is actually easy. Again, look at the map. Myanmar is enormous. It crosses 19 degrees of latitude. That's bigger north to south than all of Scandinavia and almost the same as Canada. So while in the Himalayas ingredients are limited, in Myanmar you have literally everything. I mean, there's pretty much every single climate. So it does stand to reason that if a people arrived with a tradition of making salads out of anything on hand, well, in a land of abundance, that tradition would grow into something incredibly exciting. Anyway, we've arrived at our second meal. All right. Adrian, thank you so much for letting us come in here and film.
It's a pleasure.
Let's talk about everything, but let's start with the food that's on the table. So we have four things that we ordered. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we have here 4 different types of food, especially from the salads. So as you all know, Burma, when we opened the Burmese restaurant in this Bangkok, which is like war city, I would say, so many different types of tourists and traveler and businessmen are working here. So when we opened the Burmese restaurant, so we want to show the real Burmese cuisine. As we know, in Burma, we are like many different types of ethnic city. So we are also eating like ethnic city, very diverse culinary. So we also present, each one have like their present or like ethnic city here.
So let's go one by one. So
all
tell
right.
me what these are.
Okay. I will start from here, which is one of our I would say national or very signature Burmese dish, which is tea leaf salad, fermented tea leaf salad. This is another way of tea leaves that we are eating. So we in Burma, I would say in Myanmar, I think people say only country who eat tea leaf salad. So it's another way of eating tea leaf salad. We eat as a salad. So we used to standardly we eat salad with cabbage, a lot of vegetables, and this is another way of different. It's a very unique one.
And on your menu, you call it what? Grandfather's salad or something?
Apoji, which is a grandfather uncle something. So he is eating the chili, he want to get the real taste of chili, not mixing with lots of vegetable or next. So here we see. So we put eseparately all the each individual. So first thing he take it tea. and then he pair with like what he like the vegetables like there's a one by one really eating like tortillas like he.
So your recommendation is not to mix it all together, but to take a little bit and combine as
Yeah,
as we want to. That's awesome.
Yeah, combining in your mouth is another way of eating. Like that's a way.
Before we get to the next one, I want to talk about something you and I were just discussing off camera. You mentioned this very briefly just a second ago, but I was a Chinese chef, and we're living in Thailand now, and we always say there's no such thing as Chinese food, there's no such thing as Thai food. There's so many different regions, right? Burmese food is the same, where in Myanmar, it would probably be very uncommon to see all of these on the same menu.
It is.
But it's great for us because we get to see a big range of it.
It is.
Shan State food is quite different ethnically, culturally, culinarily. So what is this specifically?
This is the way you call it tofu salad, but when we say like people say tofu, we see the white colors for being tofu, but this is I would say chickpea pounded tofu. So I think it's originally from the Shan State. We usually eat, mainly put Shan I think eating the tofu in this way. So we make it like tofu, and it's kind of very, some people say like similar to the cheese, but it's not. It's very vegan wise. It's even the color is it.
Anybody who's ever seen our videos on Burmese food before knows my obsession with the chickpea tofu with the soft version of it. Same basic idea, but this is more firm.
We make it frozen and diced and salad.
And you see something similar to this in Yunnan province in China, which is quite an interesting, but this is a very Burmese presentation.
All right.
This looks like somtam, but it's not.
It's not.
Tell me what this is.
It's like another ethnic city way of eating papaya salad, which is representing to Rakhine. So it's very unique one. We also have like crunchiness of papaya. This is we would say like the main point of this salad is we roasted the fish base, the ngapi, fish base, and then the dried shrimp, green chili, garlic. We roasted it, and then we pound it to getting the puree, and then this is a main sauce, and then we mix it with this one.
When I think about Shan State, we're in the mountains. Rakhine, we are on the coast.
Seaside.
So, yeah, exactly.
It's a very diverse.
And this one
is one of our I would say comfort food with vegetable. This is a very heavy one. Yeah, I would say this is like grilled eggplants that we usually actually grill with charcoal.
Okay.
And then it have like charcoal aromatics, and then it's a very I would say creamy, and then it can be like if you don't like to eat a lot, but you want to get the food, so you can take it this.
I'm going to take. I got a hair in here. We have a white. It's my fault. We have a white dog who is shedding right now, and everything that we own is covered in white fur.
I can see that.
I can see that. Yeah. I tried my best to take it off everywhere, but Blanca is exploding right now in the hot season. I want to talk to you very quickly before we let you go. Two last things that I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
When we started this video, the whole idea is when you talk about salad, right? And what is a salad? I mean, a salad can be a lot of different things. Different countries have different definitions of salad. But I think foreigners tend to think of the West.
Yeah.
A caprese salad, a Caesar salad, a romaine lettuce salad. But to me, if you give me one country to go to for the rest of my life to just eat salads, I'm choosing Myanmar.
Oh, really?
Because the diversity is such a big
category. Diversity.
Can you talk to me about the importance of, first of all, what does tok mean? And second of all, because we don't call it salads, we call it tok in Burmese.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? And second of all, can you just talk about how important it is in Myanmar culture, wherever you are?
I think tok mean is basically mixing. Yeah, so we put everything what we want to eat, like tofu or vegetables or like meat or so everything. So we make it mixing mean is like tok. So even like it's already cooked, but we can make with another noodle. Like still we are calling tok. That's a main why not like salad and tok different.
and that's something that I think is really essential in Burmese. If you want to understand Burmese cuisine, you have to kind of get deep into salads. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair enough.
This is the first time you're watching an OTR video on Burmese food. I would say just go through our back catalog
define me talking about how much I love fermented tea leaves.
Need to make a compilation.
That was, oh my gosh, like we did the whole, remember the video we did on the history of tea where we had that one segment just on this as a food. I don't understand how I never knew about this before we started exploring Burmese food. It is such a great ingredient. It's, you know, savory, salty. You get that kind of herbal flavor from tea. It's so good. And which one did you try? Eggplant?
Both are really good. This one is so
Shan tofu.
interesting. What's this taste? It's so interesting.
Sesame oil, maybe?
Is it?
And roasted garlic? Yeah. Oh. And a little hit of
What is it?
lemongrass, maybe, at
Is
the
it
end?
lemongrass?
I think so. God, you almost took my eye out with that spoon.
Lemongrass.
You know, I was having an argument on stage at an event a couple weeks ago with Gary Butler about Thai food versus Burmese food. There is no, like, you can't argue about that kind of thing. It's a big topic and everybody has their own preferences. And we love Thai food, obviously. But I find that in our everyday life, when we're out and about and we just want to stop for a quick lunch, we tend to gravitate, at least in Bangkok, to Burmese. It's less sweet, it's refreshing, you know. And again, you can't get full from salads. You can have 100 of them. It's still a salad, right?
I'm very full.
Choosing a salad to eat in Myanmar isn't just about choosing a favorite flavor. With so many options over the last few centuries, the category has evolved to fill a lot of different roles. There are salads meant as street foods, especially noodle salads like nanjitok. There are salads for lunch like kamintok or rice salad, and the countless variations within that range. There are drinking salads meant to pair with beer, hearty salads eaten for dinner, and in the old days, lepetok, the iconic tea leaf salad. Well, that was shared between rival factions to symbolize the end of a battle. It's a shame that went out of style. In every Burmese restaurant, there are versions of atok that appeal to different customers and are consumed for different reasons. So for our next lunch, we've turned things over to the boss to try to make us a meal that will help us through a long day of filming. All right, Lynn, thank you so much for your time. This restaurant's been highly recommended to me by friends for a long time, but it's a little far from home, so we haven't been here. Excited to finally come, you know, even if we're just trying salads. It was funny, Carol has never really explored Burmese food before. And I felt bad in the beginning because it was like, well, we're only doing salads today. But then you realize you can kind of taste all of the flavors of Myanmar just in salads. Is that fair?
Yeah,
So first of all, Lynn, you were telling me some things about kind of how some of this is, you know, we were talking about different regional foods, but this isn't about regional. This is young people, old people. Tell me what we have on the table.
Yes, in table, this, you know what, this is pennywoods and green tea leaf salad. It's like a teenager, woman, or everyone like it.
Those are national foods.
There's a national signature. It's a Burmese image. These two is like, it's popular in old omens and young guys are also like. So these two, this called is black bean salad. And this one is ginger salad. So these two salads are mostly like old guys are really like because these two salads are good for health. But because this one is a little bit bitter, this one is a little bit salty.
But they're both ones that people eat because of health. It's like you wanna, really?
Yeah. But old guys eat like and these salads with the tea, with teas, and they talk.
Drink the tea
and
and
they
eat these.
communicate with these two they eat and drink some teas and they communicate. All guys are really like it. So.
And what about this one?
This one is a fish cake salad. It's really most popular at our shop, and there's a lot of teenagers are really like it because we have two options like a Burmese salad and Rakhine salad. Young guys are like spicy in these days, so they order a Rakhine salad. But this one is like a Burmese salad style. Yeah.
So, one thing I want to ask you, because this is our third restaurant we've shot at today. We've got a couple more still coming this evening, 2-3 more at least. And we try and get different things everywhere. I know you told us we had to get the pennywort, so we're doing that again here. But lepetok, the tea leaf salad, we've had that at all three places. We're probably going to have it everywhere we go tonight or some variation of it.
Yeah.
Because to me, if you want to understand Burmese food, you have to try mohinga.
Yeah.
And you have to try lepetok.
Lepetok.
So when we're talking about this salad, what is it that makes this so special?
I mean, this like main thing is like tea leaf. Tea leaf is the main ingredient for this salad because in Myanmar we have different tea leaves. It's Upper Myanmar they produce tea leaves, and also we have Under Myanmar is also produce tea leaves. But all of the Burmese people, Myanmar people, are really like this one salad because it's like crunchy and this is salty because Burmese people also like not sweet things, so they like sweet and sour and spicy taste. So they really like this one, and all of the Burmese people, I think this one is that's why this is a signature one. I think.
And I think that every single thing on the table, there's going to be some kind of crunch to it. I think texture is so important.
Yes.
And this is something where you have all these different textures. You have kind of that soft but tough shrimp, the dried shrimp.
Yeah.
You have the peanuts. You have the yellow peas,
cabbage,
the dried chickpeas, and then you have the kind of crispy cabbage, the soft tomato, the really soft tea leaves. I don't know if I'm leaving anything out, but it's so much texture in this.
Yes. That's why if you eat it, it's a combination. All of this is really best.
Okay, actually, this is perfect. So the salads that are intended for young people are in front of you, and the
For
salads
young
for the older people are in front of me. The ones that he said for the elderly who want to improve their health, they will eat the ginger salad and the bean salad. So this works out perfectly.
What's in the young? Is there vodka?
It's this is the pennywort salad, which was your favorite from earlier. Lepetok, the fish cake salad, which is supposedly a little bit spicy, and the beans, which these are two that we have not yet had today. For the old people like me. I thought it was so funny last week in our video, the last one we did on the Chinese culture in Malaysia. Chin in that last restaurant was just named best young chef in Malaysia. He's my age. So
really?
Isn't that fun that like he's my age and he's the best young chef? I'm going to steal one of these spoons. I
Young
guess.
probably because he's in the industry for like a year, not young like age.
He's been in the industry for like
all
25 years. He's just had this restaurant for 1 year.
A very young, inspirational man.
I think I like ginger more than you do. So this is going to be more me. I love the ginger salad. Every time I've had this in Burmese food, it's so like, there's a lot of use of chickpeas, gram flour, these sort of really earthy, bean forward ingredients in Burmese food. And you combine that as a sauce with ginger and you lose the punch in a really interesting way. This is not gingery, but it's ginger.
Good for old people.
Good for old people.
Good for.
Wow, that is so much better than I expected it to be. This looks so plain. Wow.
What's in there?
People always try to be nice to us by offering us bonus food. You want to be nice to us?
Give us less food, small portions. That is the way that you can show your love to us on a filming date. This is Burmese hospitality. It's always people are so unbelievably kind and welcoming. Give me less food. That will be the happiest I can be. Let's try the fish cake.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm so full. 2-hour nap ahead of us and then on to the next place.
In the very first video we ever made on the topic of Burmese food, we stopped by a restaurant called Kalyana, the first one ever in Thailand to try to appeal beyond the migrant worker community and connect with the wider public. The general idea of Kalyana is a showcase of the depth of Myanmar's cuisine, and to embrace the diversity as a point of pride instead of an excuse for war. And for us, well, there's no better place to find a wide range of salads that in Myanmar might not appear on the same menu, at least.
Okay, somehow the appetite is back. Every time we come to Kalyana, I'm ready to eat everything on the menu. We've talked about how salads, or tok, are so ubiquitous across Myanmar through different ethnic groups and cultures. Here, this restaurant, we've told you before on the channel, in another video, specializes in regional food and different ethnic food from across Myanmar presented to the public here. So what do we have on the table? We have Daria, by the way, she's out for a jog, running off some of the food we had earlier. She's going to join us in a little bit. Lapetok, what they call here the royal tea leaf salad. So this is a really elegant presentation of the national salad dish. This one is also up there with the tea leaf salad and the pennywort that you saw earlier as something that's pretty famous all across the country. It's a lemon salad, using fresh lemon. And then we have 3 that represent different regions or ethnic groups. This is a fermented soybean salad from Shan State. This one I'm really excited about. One of my absolute favorite regional cuisines in Myanmar. This comes from Chin State in the far west. It's chicken, with a bunch of pounded herbs. It's going to be really bright and herbal. And then this one is, a Mon dish, from the Mon people. It is, dried stingray. So dried, stingray with what looks like onion. This is one I've never had before. This is not a salad. This is a sausage, kaya sausage, which, Dennis just had to throw into our order because, that was something he really missed from his time, filming in Myanmar, when he was there quite extensively shooting on the front lines of the Civil War. And keep your eyes open. We'll post. Hopefully that documentary is going to be out this year. Fingers crossed. All right. Anyway, and hopefully the Civil War is over this year. Fingers crossed. So anyway, this is what we have. Let's dive in. And I think I'm going to start with the only one that I've never tried before.
The first bite, you get sourness, savory, onion. Then as the stingray dried opens up, it tastes like the ocean. It's like a bite of the ocean. Wow. It's like, tuan now, the Thai soybean, the tuan now, the dried soybean, dried fermented soybean, that's this. But like dressed with citrus, chili, onion. At the end of 2022, right around the time we launched this channel, I got a random invitation to live out my old house parties in real life and cook on Iron Chef, the actual television show. It was just as cool as you might think it would be, but there was one part of it that kind of wrecks comparison to stuff like this. See, the thing is, on the show and in a Burmese kitchen, the goal might be the same, to bring out the best of one single ingredient. But when a cuisine is judged, whether on a show like Iron Chef or by the Michelin Guide or, hell, any keyboard warrior on Yelp, well, that judgment has to come from something. A baseline expectation of what food is, what flavors are meant for pairing. Pretty much the idea that in cooking there is right and wrong. And when you have the shadow of Escoffier hanging over your head, well, what you lose is the fun. The full-on anything-goes madness that once upon a time all of us in the kitchen used to love. Until it got trained out of us. The real joy in Burmese salads isn't the dishes themselves. It's not even the fresh approach to showcasing ingredients. It's the chaos, the freedom to layer in absolutely anything if it's going to taste good. Fry up some crispy whatever, then toss the cooking oil into the mix with some tamarind, fermented fish, and maybe yesterday's leftovers. It might not end up as something that's going to impress any French fine dining judges, but who cares? It's delicious. While we're on the topic, the whole world is full of other examples of stuff that, if it ever breaks through to the mainstream, might completely redefine what a category even means. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with dumplings. But I bet you didn't know that in one country, people can literally shove an entire dinner into a dumpling wrapper. That would be Uzbekistan, by the way. Or how about the simple paratha, an Indian flatbread? Served as a component in a lot of different dishes, but in Uganda, made into a sandwich with an omelet in the middle. Now, all of that is tangential. This isn't a video about Uzbek Hanum or Ugandan Rolex, but honestly, it's not really about salads either. It's about people, a fascinating country, and most of all, how incredible food can be when you throw out the rules and just have fun. There's one last salad we have to try before this shoot is over. I mean, actually 1,000 more to properly tell the story, but one that, more than anything else, at least to me, illustrates just how much fun a salad can be in the right hands. And that brings us to an alley called Phetchaburi Soy 15, featured once before in an old OTR video as quite possibly the world's first Burmese bar street, anywhere outside Myanmar proper. Here the vibe is not refugee or migrant worker. It's full-on celebration. Exciting and vibrant and, dare I say, a melting pot. Maybe what Myanmar itself could look like in better days. If Burmese salads change the way we look at the category, well, one specific version kind of blows up something else we all thought we knew, which is the idea of drinking food. Because with all respect to other stuff, you can forget about buffalo wings or salted peanuts. Who knew the ultimate option could be something as, quote, boring as a salad? Okay, we have made it to the end of the line. I still believe that you can't get full from salads.
I'm not listening. I'm vibing to the Burmese creed now.
So we're finishing with drinking food. Like this is, salads or tok in Myanmar they serve a lot of functions, and one of them is maybe the world's greatest beer food, which is this pounded mutton with tea leaf. And I'm telling you, like, this is the best. It's the best beer drinking food anywhere. This one is a Kachin version of pounded mutton. And this is samosa salad, which is just chopped samosas pounded with, I don't know.
It's not
very
even
little
pounded.
else.
I think it's just chopped and called salad.
Which is still a salad because it's in a bowl. They called it a salad. If it was just put on a plate, it's a samosa. You cut it into pieces, you put it in a bowl, it's a salad, and it becomes healthy.
Because they also sprinkled a little bit of
there's
mint leaf.
There's mint, there's onion, there's
Vegetables.
I understand that we all in this industry are prone to hyperbole. The best, this is the best thing I've eaten today, therefore it's the best thing ever, right? And I know we all do that, and it's hard not to, but I'm telling you, on the air, off the air, in any situation, I have and will say that the first time I tried this was like earth-shattering. It's the greatest drinking food ever. And it's a salad, which means it's healthy. I've never had this one before. The Kachin mutton salad. Also a salad. Try this. Wow.
I tried it. It's really good.
It's going to sound really strange. It tastes like leather. Like
what?
leather. You never chewed on leather? Like, you never played baseball. You had a baseball mitt, like a leather glove? You're just chewing on it out of boredom when you're in the outfield waiting for a fly ball? Never?
No, I had a normal childhood, so I didn't chew on leather.
No, it's like, it's really smoky, meaty, smoky and meaty, with some chili, some herbs. Tastes like a baseball glove in the best possible way. That triggers a nice childhood memory. No?
Oh God, no.
Dennis, did you, I mean, you grew up in the U.S. Did you ever chew on a baseball mitt when no?
I played baseball, but I never chewed on my mitt.
You know, it has the strings, the leather straps that come off, and
Stop! No, nobody did that, Adam.
Somebody watching this did that. You can't say nobody did that.
I had a normal childhood too, I guess.
Like, if you said, oh, it's like licking the table. It's so good. Every dinner.
These are all just distractions. All this stuff is meant to keep you guys away from my pounded mutton tea leaf salad, which is like life-changing. A lot of the food we've had today is incredible. The category of Burmese salads is something that you should explore. It's one of the most exciting categories of anything in this part of the world. But this pounded mutton tea leaf salad in this environment at night with a beer or a soda or, whatever your cold drink of choice is. Good way to end it. I am going to unbutton my jeans.
And miss your baseball childhood on sucking on gloves?
Chewing.
That's it. OTR.
Yeah.
Subscribe for the channel.
Subscribe to the channel for more from OTR. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us on Patreon. It really helps to keep us going. Find links below to our Patreon and social media, and we'll see you soon. It's dried mutton, which is lamb, older lamb.
Like you.
Pounded with, like me. pounded with fermented tea leaves, like what we had in all the lepetok. There's a little bit of sesame, there's citrus, there's garlic, but like it's really simple. It has that little bit of sourness, it has a little bit of heat. The texture almost kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's really dry, but it has that soft tea leaves to kind of bond it all together. So you get like, again, Burmese food is all about the textural contrast, and that saltiness of this is the biggest characteristic. And that with beer, like,
What did you say? Oink? What? Oink.
Oink? That, you put that together with beer and oink.